Hey everyone, this is Adam Excel again, here to teach you Sumifs, one of the most powerful tools in Excel that is useful for anyone, including data scientists, just financial analysts, data analysts, sales reps, anybody, someone who just runs their own e-commerce website or drop shipping site, whatever. Sumifs is a very valuable tool, and I'll explain why. So let's get started. So first let's start off with what is a sum ifs? A sum ifs goal is to, based on a criteria, tell you and sum up the amount of a column. And it's always summing up a value or a number based on a specific criteria. So let me give you an example here. If you watched our first video, we actually used this similar example, but now we're going to use it for the sum ifs. So as we discussed, my manager is looking for sales data, and we could even say expense data if we wanted to add that, but just for this example, my manager is looking for sales data by day of the week. And maybe he wants it by month too, but for this example, we're just going to do start off with day of week. So I have some data here on the left side, just 4 columns. It has date, day of week, and weekday, which in the VLOOKUP, they're related, and then we have sales. My manager only cares about sales by day of week. So what I'm going to do is, on this left side, is write a sum ifs. So we're trying to find sales, right? So my manager wants to know the sales by Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So I'm going to write this formula. It's called a sum ifs. And I like the plural version. There's actually a sumif as well. It's not as powerful. It usually only looks it up by one criteria, but a sum ifs allows you to also look it up by one criteria, but it allows you to look up 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 infinity criteria. So it's better. There's actually no reason to use a sum if when you could use a sum ifs. So I'm not even going to show it to you. So the sum ifs, you start off with equals sum ifs, and then it says criteria range. So in the criteria range, I'm trying to pull sales. So I'm going to highlight the column D. Often you could lock the column by putting a $ in front or pressing F4 on PCs just to make sure the column doesn't move or whatever. You don't need it. It's not necessary for this example. So then after you get the sum range, we're summing sales, it's looking for the criteria range. So the next column that I want to look up. I'm trying to look up weekday. So I'm going to highlight column C, which gives you the weekday. In this example, I'll also put the $ in front. It won't help for this purpose. I'm highlighting the column, but it's okay. It just makes it more secure. And then I'm looking up the criteria. So in this table, I'm trying to get the sales for Sunday. And that's it. That's the sum is for one criteria. You don't necessarily have to close, but I close the formula here with the parentheses. And then you press enter. So Sunday had 3,315, let's call it million sales. So 3.3 billion. And then these are the sales by day of week. So this is exactly what my manager is looking for. All I did was do the sum ifs and I dragged it down. So I hope that's helpful. Let me show you what is a step further. Now instead of just the day of the week, they're looking for day of the week by month. So let's do that. So we're going to have to put in a little bit more detail here. Right, so one thing you could do is this month formula and get the month here. We know it's January. 1 equals January. You could even do, I'll do a quick VLOOKUP where you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and this is January, February, and so on. Right, so this is from the earlier video. Please watch that as well on VLOOKUPs. What I'm going to do is just get the month name in this array. And if you're curious about the VLOOKUP, as mentioned, just watch the previous video. So this is the month number, and now we got the month, the actual name. And my manager is curious about, oh, let's do day of week by month. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to, instead of just having one criteria here, I'm going to call this January, February, and typically Excel is going to know what I'm looking for, so I can just drag it across here and get the whole year. So I have a little table I'm trying to calculate here, and then I'll sum it up later. So we have the full year number that's in the January column now. It's wrong because we want just January. So we have this original Sumifs formula that's pulling the entire column. Now we're going to use the second criteria. So after we got the Sumifs for one criteria, I'm going to put a comma and pick criteria range 2. So now we're trying to get the criteria range for the month, which is column F. So I'm going to do that, put those dollar signs in front of it, put another comma to get the criteria. So now I'm looking for month. So down in the table below, I'm going to click January. And what you need to do, and this is really important, is lock some of these numbers now. The reason being, if I don't lock this, if I press enter, it'll give me the right number and so on, but it gives me zeros when I start to drag it and stuff. And the reason being, because if you don't lock it, the lookup ends up moving, right? So you got to lock the cell. So to lock this L20, this January number, I'm going to put a dollar sign on the row number because I want to keep, the row needs to stay in row 20. So like if you see, so now it's locked. And then there's also a need to lock the weekday in the correct column. So here you see it's in column K. I'm going to put a dollar sign in front of K to make sure it's always looking up this column for the weekday. And I know that might be a little confusing. We'll have a session on that as well. But now I'm able to drag that by weekday as well. So now that's our Sumifs with multiple variables. I'm going to build a little table for my manager just so, you know, I get promoted and he's happy or whatever. So this is basically our table that we're looking for. I got the full year numbers kind of wrong here, so I'm just going to correct that. Let's see. Actually, they're right. We got the total. Yep, so if you look, it sums up to $23,000 or 23 billion, however you want to look at it. We could format this a little bit nicer for my manager just because he's a good guy, you know. I want to make sure he's happy. So what I'm going to do is email this over to him, do some cool bolding and make a typical table. Let's put some boxes around here just to make it look kind of normal, like it's an official thing. We're going to, in the columns, try to center these. At least the column got centered there. If I use a different type of numeral, it will center as well. Make the background white. I actually like the total column to be a little gray or blue or something. And the columns, let's just do yellow. Maybe that's ugly. I always actually like doing black with white text. So I would just send this view in to my manager over an email. Just be like, here you go. Copy it in, paste his image or whatever, and that's my view. Now he's got sales data for the year by weekday. And thank you. Again, I am Adam Excel, and thanks for watching and learning the Sumifs. Bing! Goodbye.